Imagine a galaxy where technology is so advanced that no one actually understands how any of it works. Welcome to the Imperium of Man, where the Adeptus Mechanicus treats toaster repair like a religious experience and considers the humble USB drive a sacred relic. These are the lunatics responsible for keeping the Imperium's lights on, worshipping machines, hoarding lost knowledge, and occasionally committing war crimes in the name of data preservation. Today, we're peeling back the layers of chrome and incense to reveal just how far the Mechanicus will go to maintain their iron grip on the galaxy's tech. From their obsession with STCs, the holy grail of lost technology, to the terrifying power they hold over the Imperium's infrastructure, these cybernetic cultists are more than just your average tech support. If you think tech enthusiasts today are a little much, imagine an entire galaxy where every piece of technology is treated like a sacred relic, and the guys fixing your Wi-Fi believe prayer is an essential part of the troubleshooting process. That's the Adeptus Mechanicus, a sprawling empire of cybernetic zealots who think technology isn't just useful, it's holy. Their whole ideology boils down to this: machines have souls, knowledge is sacred, and if you don't chant the right prayer while plugging in a USB drive, you're basically committing blasphemy. The origins of the Mechanicus go back to ancient Mars, a place so bleak and irradiated that people figured their only way to survive was to worship the machines, keeping them alive. Over the millennia, this survivalist tech worship evolved into the cult Mechanicus, a fanatical religion where knowledge is hoarded, innovation is suspicious, and the line between man and machine is a suggestion at best. When the Emperor rolled up during the Great Crusade, instead of forcing them to kneel, he cut a deal, the Treaty of Mars. In exchange for joining the Imperium, the Mechanicus got to keep doing whatever weird machine cult stuff they wanted, as long as they built all the guns. And because the Imperium runs on an endless supply of weapons and war machines, the Mechanicus became too important to mess with, no matter how insane they got. At the center of their faith is the Omnissiah, a mysterious figure they believe is the physical embodiment of the machine god. The Emperor of mankind, ever the galaxy's greatest con man, let them think he was the Omnissiah to seal the alliance. But the funny thing is, the Mechanicus has never really bought it. Deep down, most tech priests believe the real machine god is hanging out somewhere, maybe chilling in the warp with Slanesh or something, and the Emperor is just a convenient placeholder. And when your entire belief system is built around finding divine knowledge, that means one thing. If there's a piece of lost technology out there, the Mechanicus will do absolutely anything, lie, steal, or glass an entire planet to get their greasy metal claws on it. And that's the core of the Mechanicus. They aren't just engineers with a religious kink. They're a shadow empire holding the entire Imperium hostage through a mix of technological monopoly and batshit insane theological dogma. If you want your plasma guns to work, you better play by their rules, or prepare to meet the business end of a cybernetic death cult. If you ever wondered what happens when you mix religious fanaticism with a deep hatred for the human body, look no further than the tech priests of Mars. In the Adeptus Mechanicus, the path to power is simple. The less flesh you have, the more authority you wield. The higher you climb the cog-shaped corporate ladder, the more you replace your weak organic bits with cold, unfeeling machinery. Legs? Overrated. Try a dozen mechanical spider limbs instead. Eyes? Upgrade to a cluster of glowing red optics. Your brain? Why not install a logic engine that purges those pesky emotions? If the Emperor's finest space marines are the peak of physical evolution, then tech priests are the ultimate transhumans. This obsession with cybernetic ascension isn't just for fun, it's a religious mandate. To the Mechanicus, the human body is a flawed, organic mess, while machinery is divine perfection. Emotions? Those are considered glitches in the system. A tech priest isn't allowed to feel joy, fear, or remorse, not when cold, logical calculation is the purest form of thought. The result? An entire caste of terrifyingly intelligent sociopaths who will dissect a living human just to see how much machine they can cram inside before something important stops working. It's not that they're evil, well, not just that, it's that they genuinely believe organic life is a problem to be fixed. At the top of this cybernetic madhouse sit the Magos and Archmagos, and if regular tech priests are unsettling, these guys are full-blown nightmare fuel. Each one is a walking factory of incomprehensible knowledge and raw technological power. They hoard information like paranoid dragons, every piece of lost technology, every forgotten secret, all locked away where no one else can touch it. Knowledge is power, and they have no intention of sharing. If an Archmagos thinks you know too much, they'll erase your memory, reprogram your body, and stick your brain into a servo skull. Because when you control the machines, you control everything. And just when you think they can't get any more insane, we have the Magos Biologies. These are the delightful lunatics who tinker with genetics and alien biology, treating every living thing as an experiment waiting to happen. Want to graft alien limbs onto a human body? That's a Tuesday for them. They've been known to mind-wipe entire planetary populations to keep a secret. And if a few billion innocent lives get ground to dust in their endless quest for knowledge, well, that's a price they're more than willing to pay. Ever wonder what happens if you piss off the Adeptus Mechanicus? You don't just get to die a peaceful death. No, you get turned into a servitor, the 40k equivalent of a human Roomba, except with more mechanical implants and far less free will. Servitors are what you become when the Mechanicus decides you're too useful to kill but too heretical to be allowed to think. It's a fate so horrifying that even dying and having your soul vored by chaos starts to look like a mercy. The process isn't exactly gentle. First, they strip away your personality, everything that made you a functioning human being. Memories, gone. Free will, deleted. Dreams, tough luck. What's left is a biological husk, hooked up to a labyrinth of cybernetics, reprogrammed to follow simple orders like clean this hallway or haul that 10-ton piece of machinery across a war zone. If you're really lucky, you might get to spend the rest of eternity plugged into some arcane machine, chanting binary prayers while your body slowly breaks down. If you're unlucky, well, the Mechanicus has a wide array of jobs that only a lobotomized meat puppet can do. Who ends up as a servitor? Anyone the Mechanicus deems expendable. Criminals, failed tech priests, captured enemies. Hell, sometimes they grab random civilians who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Did you stumble across a piece of forbidden technology? Servitor. Question the wisdom of praying to a toaster? Servitor. Looked at a Magos funny? Congratulations, you're servitor material. There's no trial, no appeal, just the cold, unyielding logic of a faction that views humanity as nothing more than raw material for their divine machines. And it's not just a punishment, it's a workforce. The Imperium relies on trillions of servitors to keep the galaxy running. They repair starships, maintain factories, and serve as living weapon platforms on the battlefield. Need a walking turret? There's a servitor for that. Want a human-sized USB drive to store sacred data? Plenty of volunteers, assuming you count screaming prisoners as volunteers. This mass production of human machinery isn't just practical for the Mechanicus, it's a theological duty. After all, the flesh is weak, and what better way to serve the machine god than by turning that weak flesh into blessed machinery? And if you ever wonder how far they'll go to enforce their vision, just remember, there's a servitor slot waiting for anyone who steps out of line. Because nothing says technological enlightenment quite like turning people into mindless cyber slaves for eternity. If there's one thing the Adeptus Mechanicus hates more than ignorance, it's innovation. In their eyes, the only thing worse than not understanding technology is daring to mess with it without the machine god's blessing. That's called Tech-Heresy, a delightful catch-all term for anyone foolish enough to think they can improve on sacred designs without divine permission. Tinker with a cogitator in the wrong way? Heresy. Question the efficiency of a centuries-old plasma rifle? Double heresy. Try to invent something new? Congratulations, you're now the communal servitor fleshlight, and I'm not talking about the bright kind. The Mechanicus's paranoia about Tech-Heresy isn't just superstition, it's rooted in the absolute nightmare of the Age of Strife, a time when uncontrolled AI, rogue scientists, and machines without masters nearly wiped out humanity. The Mechanicus learned the hard way that innovation without oversight is a one-way ticket to extinction. So now, instead of advancing technology like a sane civilization, they hoard every scrap of knowledge like dragons sitting on a pile of broken calculators. New ideas are dangerous. Better to cling to ancient blueprints, no matter how inefficient, than risk another mechanical apocalypse. Of course, Tech-Heresy isn't just about breaking machines, it's also about breaking doctrine. The Mechanicus believes that technology isn't invented, it's revealed through prayer and divine inspiration. If you didn't get your bright idea through sanctioned rituals, it's blasphemy, plain and simple. And the punishment? Let's just say the Mechanicus doesn't do slaps on the wrist. At best, you'll be killed on the spot. At worst, your entire body will be striped of its fleshy components, and whatever's left will be servitorized. Ironically, the Mechanicus themselves are walking contradictions when it comes to Tech-Heresy. Despite their hardline stance, they engage in plenty of forbidden practices, so long as they can slap a religious label on it. Need to reverse engineer alien technology? Just call it an archaeotech reclamation project. Want to experiment with unstable warp tech? No problem, so long as you frame it as a ritual of discovery. As long as the paperwork says it's holy, even the most deranged experiments get a free pass. In the end, Tech-Heresy is less about protecting humanity and more about keeping the Adeptus Mechanicus in charge. Knowledge is power, literally, and nothing terrifies the Mechanicus more than losing control of that power. So if you ever find yourself in a Mechanicus Forge world and get the bright idea to improve the toaster, don't. Unless you want your next career move to involve lobotomy and a lot of heavy lifting. If you think the Imperium is a bloated, crumbling nightmare held together by duct tape and prayer, congratulations, you're absolutely right. But the real reason it hasn't collapsed into a black hole of incompetence is the Adeptus Mechanicus. They control everything that plugs in, powers up, or goes bang in the galaxy. Without them, the Imperium wouldn't just stumble, it would faceplant straight into the warp. And the best part? They know it. The Mechanicus holds the Imperium in a death grip, and no one, not the High Lords, not the Inquisition, not even the Emperor's rotting ass, can pry their cold mechanical fingers off the controls. The reason they're so untouchable dates back to the Treaty of Mars, the ancient agreement that fused the Mechanicus and the Imperium into one massively dysfunctional family. The Emperor, back when he still had working legs, cut a deal with the Martian tech priests. They'd supply him with the weapons and machines he needed to conquer the galaxy, and in return, they got to keep their weird cult, complete with all the tech-worshipping madness. Even after the Horus Heresy burned half the galaxy to cinders, that agreement still stood. So, while the Inquisition can declare exterminatus on a planet for sneezing wrong, they can't touch the red-robed weirdos running the galaxy's power grid. And here's the terrifying truth. The Imperium is utterly, hopelessly dependent on the Mechanicus. Every void ship, bolter, and plasma reactor comes from their forges. If the Mechanicus decided to take a lunch break, entire star systems would collapse. That makes them indispensable, which is a fancy way of saying too powerful to stop. Their monopoly on technology doesn't just keep the Imperium alive, it lets them operate with zero oversight. No one dares question their methods, no matter how insane, because the alternative is watching civilization grind to a halt. So, while the rest of the Imperium prays to the Emperor for salvation, the Mechanicus knows the truth. The galaxy only keeps spinning because they allow it to. The Adeptus Mechanicus isn't just the Imperium's IT department. They're its lifeline, its biggest liability, and possibly the most unhinged group of tech hoarders in the galaxy. Without them, everything from the God Emperor's golden throne to your average lasgun would fall apart overnight. But their monopoly on technology comes with a price, one paid in blood, secrecy, and the occasional planetary purge. If they think you've got a piece of lost tech, they'll take it. And if you object, well, good luck explaining your personal freedoms to a cyborg cult that thinks feelings are heresy. And if you want more dives into the weird, wild world of Warhammer 40,000, make sure to like and subscribe. That's all for today. I'll see you guys in the next one.